This is Dan Shepard. Welcome to this lesson on the 4 decisions. This series of short webinars is about having intentional, participatory relationships with your donors. Each lesson introduces ideas and tools you can use in your work pursuing each of the 4 decisions your future donor needs to make. Why they care enough about your nonprofit to meet with you, a fundraiser. What you do they might care about enough to consider supporting with a significant gift. How they could afford to do that. And finally, reflecting on why they care, what they care especially about, and how they could make a gift, will they make a commitment? Here's a quick story from early in my career. Andy Warner, a dependable annual donor, came to my attention through a high gift capacity rating. So I cultivated and solicited Andy. I got a $25,000 pledge of appreciated securities. It was a much larger gift than his annual commitment, and it qualified as a major gift for that nonprofit at the time. I felt pretty good. Little did I know at the time Andy had just made a go away and don't bother me gift, because 3 months later I read about the sale of his business for $13.5 million. It was a company he'd started with a $25,000 family loan. The article explained that he sold his controlling interest in this S corporation to 5 partners. The sale included his shares of the company and of a large parcel of undeveloped real estate. I didn't feel nearly so good when I read this. I knew I'd missed an opportunity. It took me several years of experience and study to learn just what I'd missed. This short lesson on priming the pump is offered to help fast-track your own learning so you don't miss opportunities like I did with Andy Warner. Here's what I learned from that experience. I learned to invite my prospective donors to share an agenda with me in which we discussed why our nonprofit was important to them, to dream about what they'd like to support if they could afford a significant gift. Then I asked them to have a conversation with me about how they might be able to afford the gift. To my point, I didn't ask for a contribution. I asked for a conversation about giving. I explained this conversation would likely address the sorts of issues I spoke with other donors about, that these are in fact the same issues their other professional advisors ask them about, and that I hope they would regard me in that same light. I explained that my understanding of those issues would help us both find the best way for them to make the gift they wanted to make. And then I primed the pump. I want you to understand how simple it can be to intentionally start a conversation about how your donor might best make a gift, when, with what assets, and in conjunction with what personal concerns you ought to discuss. Let's get to know Scarlett Rose, our 77-year-old retired office manager, a widow with a grown son. Scarlett has a nice gift history, notably her long-standing loyalty. I hope you're curious about her $5,000 campaign gift. You met Scarlett several weeks ago, and you requested your first meeting. Your pre-visit research indicated some gift potential. You need to learn certain things about Scarlett before you ask for a gift, details of why she cares about your nonprofit, about what she would support with a significant gift. For our purposes here, though, we need to skip ahead. Once you learn why Scarlett cares and what she would support, you can invite an intentional conversation about how she might make a gift. There's a short list of topics you're likely to explore when you discuss how your donor could best make a gift. It's to your benefit to introduce them intentionally. It might sound something like this. Scarlett, I'm going to ask you to talk with me about how you might best make your gift plan. When? It might be now, it might be later. With what assets, and in conjunction with what personal priorities we ought to discuss. Here are the sorts of things I often discuss with other donors and that I hope we'll talk about. We might talk about what I like to call life events and milestones, things that are coming up in your life that have financial considerations. When we discuss life events and milestones, we should talk about how those plans will be paid for. so I hope we'll discuss the resources you own and your plans for them, what I like to call your asset allocation plans. When we discuss asset allocation, we should look at the tax implications of your plans and look for charitable gift ideas that can help. Some donors ask if I can tell them about gift strategies they've heard or read about from other nonprofits they support. Finally, we should make sure to include your concerns for yourself and others you care about. I want to be sure any gift plan we design together addresses both your wishes for our organization and for the people you love. Quick summary. I ask for permission to discuss very personal issues. I explain why this will be valuable to us both. And then I intentionally suggest 2 or 3 pre-selected examples of the sorts of things I hope we'll explore together. I prime the pump. Let's take a closer look at Scarlett. Based on what little I know about her, I could say to her, for example, we might discuss any concerns you have about how you're funding your retirement. Well, I really would like to know, and this is a respectful, purposeful way of asking, what assets do you own? I could say, Scarlett, you might tell me you're discussing your estate plans with other professional advisors. What a thoughtful way of inviting a conversation about testamentary gifts. Scarlett, would you mind explaining how you funded your surprise $5,000 campaign gift? I'm curious about her cash flow and her capacity for a new outright gift. We might talk about any specific plans you have for this beautiful home. I would like to know. And this is an intentional way of asking without seeming rude. Once I finish my short list of possibilities, I say, do any of these examples resonate with you? Once Scarlett responds to any of the examples you suggested, or maybe to something you hadn't thought of, you want to ask probing questions around that topic. Commit to learning more about any life events she mentions, about any specific assets that come up during the conversation. Point out any tax implications to her. Create for yourself opportunities to identify promising gift strategies that will help you both. Practice intentional curiosity. Tell me more should become a key phrase in your working vocabulary. And here's what you can learn from Scarlett by working intentionally, by priming the pump. Take a moment to review. So, charitable gift planners, what gift strategies would you now like to introduce to Scarlett Rose? First, there's a case to be made for a charitable gift annuity focused on her certificates of deposit. At her age, Scarlett can significantly increase her income while creating a legacy for your nonprofit. Let's not stop there and focus only on that bright, shiny object. What else might be possible based on what you've learned from Scarlett? Well, there's a possible retained life estate. There might be a bequest from her 401k plan. She could even make an outright gift of securities if it suited her. Depending on her level of gift motivation, there's the potential for a blended, multi-part gift plan, combining several elements of what you've discovered once the information started flowing. Before you describe how charitable gift annuities work, you must find a good candidate for a gift annuity. Whether you embrace my technique of priming the pump or find some other way, your task is to earn the right to discuss gift annuities, retained life estates, bequests, gifts of appreciated securities. This is one way through which you can earn the right to share all your legal and technical knowledge. Thank you for playing this short lesson. I hope you picked up some ideas you can put to use and that you'll enjoy the other lessons in this series. You're welcome to contact me for a free 15-minute consultation on the subject matter. For a deeper dive into the structure and the language of the 4 decisions, I invite you to enroll in our e-learning course, The 4 Decisions Online, which you can find at the URL you see on this slide.